Sorry. Still let us black. Sit and smoke around here. Well, thank you, everybody. Everything is good. Everything is great. The Lord shall provide. Today has been the most incredible day of my life. I mean, I'm 38 years young. I feel like I'm 20 now. Had just a little front page news. Your buddy Kyle has been on opioids since he was 12. Didn't really know any difference. It's just my medicine. Until a buddy of mine, thanks Eben, tells me I'm not going to live till like 50 if I keep eating pills like I was. So we conjured up a plan and figured it out and did some research and found out that the world has provided us a great medicine called heroin. The original kind. The good kind that comes from poppies, from God. And this, I don't know what this epidemic is because I couldn't find it. So anyway, what happened was it got pretty expensive, pretty quick, cartel situations and whatnot. Whatever. I did the most was like an 8-hour round trip drive to someone I trusted. I buy like 8 or 1,000 for like a month and a half. Well, this past time, it lasted 2 weeks. And instantly I thought, wait, hold on, $1,000 a month. And I just did 2 weeks. That's it. That'd be two. Wait, hold on. No. Nothing in the world of a feeling or a euphoria or an addiction or a masking is really what led me down my road. But anyway, it's worth $24,000 a month. You got to be out of your mind. Anybody that's living on the streets, I mean, dude, put it this way, guys. 4 weeks in, 9 days, no sleep. My brother's in healthcare, tells me don't have to deal with this, dude. Call the ambulance, tell them you're detoxing, 9 days, blah, 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 blah. So I do it. I do a little YouTube bit of it just to kind of see how it is. Now, America, when I say our healthcare system is banana whack right now, it is beyond bonkers. I would much rather go back to my time in the towers. Be a resident with the fucking essays up there. But anyway, that's needless to say. And for America, you kids, if you're looking for a good time to get high one night and all of a sudden you find yourself addicted to that stuff, just remember, when you try to get it off, you can have pee-pee pants and pee pot and poop pants and, you know, not be able to move. And you ever seen this movie, scary movie? You remember the exorcism part? I won't do it for the love of my wife, but that was the devil coming out of my body. And I believe that was the night I realized that this is not easy. This is tough. This is the toughest thing you're ever going to deal with. My mom died when I was 12. And I never was offered drugs or anything like that. Thanks to DARE, they had mentioned something about don't drink alcohol and smoke marijuana because your stomach gets numb and you don't know how much you drink. And I was like, oh, cool. My uncles are going to be fucking jealous because I'm going to be drinking so much. Oh, but you know what? Thanks to Seth MacFarlane, for some reason I found peace and tranquility and like a homey vibe by smoking some green weed out of a foil pipe and then go sit in my, what do they call those things? Those futons. I grew up on a futon, but yeah, on a futon watching Family Guy. One of my very first purchases I ever did was buy an LCD 22-inch screen with my PlayStation. I had all the Family Guy episodes. I mean, I was raised on Simpsons. 7:30, I had to be home. And that's when The Simpsons came on. And Bart, Kyle, kind of the same deal. And my grandfather was always about signs. He always said, if you know the number 3... you have everything you need. He always used to say, you plus me equals 3. Well, on this episode, I'll tell you just a list. I was born August 17th, 1987, 7:57. Thanks to Daft Punk, they saved my life. I was living in Santa Barbara. Daft Punk found me. Now, I really wanted to go see Daft Punk because earlier in my life, I found out that Rush stopped performing. And I actually kind of cried and I watched it and I said, all right, well, next time I find somebody I really want to see live, I should go see them. When I was ready and had the money and stuff, I found out Daft said, when Daft stops touring, everything Daft has ever learned, known, or has, you know, everything that he said everything is inside of this album. So again, hint. And I was always really good at the foreshadowing in writing and stories and stuff. And I'm a storyteller. I have an extremely rare gift. So when my mother died, doctors said that there's two things that happen. One, the brain can't handle it, so it forgets it. It takes some time, like my brother and sister. I don't think they really remember my mom very much, but my brother was like 8, my sister was like 4 or 5, so you have some memory, but they really don't know. Now me, I did the opposite. So somehow I have an incredibly high IQ for memory. I can remember stories from just a fraction of something, and I can go back into my head and like really relive it. Now I think it comes from, I don't like sleeping. I never liked sleeping. My grandma always said she was afraid of dying in her sleep, so I kind of got that. And something I kind of learned doing this liveness, I found out, I think some of the reasons why I was so addicted to my pain medication was because my mom was always screaming that she was in pain. And one thing most people don't know is I was a little kid talking my mom out of, the bathroom, and she'd slide the knife under the door, So apparently I kind of latched onto that pain thing. I didn't want pain, Well, I had really bad growing pains when I went from middle school to high school. But the cool thing was I went from like 4'5" to 6 foot. So all the kids in church stopped trash canning me. Thank you. Anyway, so that was really when I started taking my pain meds a lot. But I was also playing travel sports and stuff. So I've always been kind of like a pro-bred child athlete or whatever. Anybody that knows what ODP is, I'm ODP 87. I had a scholarship my freshman year, which a gram of weed cost me playing with Sean Franklin and the guys I played with my whole life. But that wasn't my path, I guess, because there's one time my dad said, the one time he did not force me to go, I somehow said, am I playing soccer for you or for me? And never, ever again did he force me to go. And I just stopped going. I started smoking more. And my high school soccer coach said, lose the caboose. And I wasn't understanding that I was going after school, going smoking weed with my friend. I won't say who. Cool guy. But I go back to soccer practice and he said, lose the caboose. And that was the first time I started realizing that, like, wait, I'm not starting. I'm not going with the varsity. So then I was like, fuck it. And then I ended up getting crossed by, you know exactly who you are. I'll meet you after school in the numbers. Anyway, the thing that I didn't like was a security guard said, dang, this is some good weed, dude. Who'd you get this weed from? I said, are you kidding me? There's a one-time thing, too, because one of my buddies didn't come, and I said I should put it back. But then I was like, you know what? No, I'll get rid of it. I'll figure it out, I'm making good money. I'm a good businessman, I'll tell you that. My dad used to give me $20 a day. I'd save it. At the week, I get 100, 10 for 100, sell each of them for 20, get $200. Smoke, dang, blah, 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 blah. I have money. And I never sold anything at school. I always did it after. Well, I lived like one half a hectare or whatever. I could hear the first bell wake me up, you know what I mean? I was failed first period every year, but anyway. I kind of like talking about this stuff, But anyway, by talking about it, I'm starting to think a little bit differently, because I think when I was on my medicine, I was always trying to be somebody normal and like how people weren't on drugs, But I found out recently, being honest with my doctor, is that I need to be on some sort of medicine or something. My body doesn't create it or something. I mean, it makes me feel not any different, but it makes me think incredibly different. So for 22 years, I've been chemically unbalanced. And now here I am 48 hours, like completely 48 hours after this like near death experience, which completely changed my life. And when I tell you the kicker, this is gonna change the world. My grandfather always said that. He's like, I'll put it like this. I couldn't wait to go to the service. Everybody in my family went. And now I'm coming to find out that my Mexican side of the family had a lot to do with the start financially with the US and blah, 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 which is all in this kicker. I'll explain in a minute. But, you know, there's so many things I have to get off my chest now, because I never ever really wanted it. Okay, so, well, I guess this is like truth be told, I guess. Before my mom died, my parents sat me down and said, hey, we need you to think about who you want to live with. And when you're 10, 11 years, you know, you're like, wait, what? Why? You start thinking about it, you're like, you know what, maybe I would rather if just one died. Be careful what you wish for. Lancaster Silverado did me wrong today. I opened up. I've never said this in my life. One day, my parents surprised me with a red Suburban. And we go down to Burbank, and it's nighttime. It's like 9 o'clock at night. We're going down to Burbank. I'm like, what the heck? I've never done this. Now, I grew up getting out of school, going home. I had 30 minutes. Do whatever you got to get blah, blah, blah. Get in the car. We got to go down below. My parents, they ran a business. I won't tell you which one right now, but just know I was born in St. Joseph Medical Center in Burbank. Found out today that my great-grandfather was really good friends with David Burbank, which really, this is, okay, anyway. Give no spoilers, but anyway. What I'm trying to say is a lot right now. This is so overwhelming. My heart is kind of feeling a little different ever since the decision when I had to come to a realization of living or dying, and the sadness that I felt for not having my wife, which is why Daft Punk is such a big deal for me. Let's go back and reverse a little bit. I'm living in Santa Barbara, living my vacation. 420 Pita Pit, cruising longboard, surfing every day, just great. One day I get a call from my dad. He says, hey, I don't know what's going on. The sheriffs are here. They said that there's a warrant for you. Oh, okay. Now that's not odd, because I had a problem with a neighbor, one of my first young neighbor friends. I got blamed for everything pretty much. I actually got good at taking the blame for people. Just because of like who I knew, the security guard stuff. I mean, I've said, oh yeah, that was my, whatever. I've actually gotten in trouble for stuff that I wasn't even at school that day for. So anyway, I've actually gotten, I think, 3 referrals in the first day of school. Thanks, Mr. Reese. But anyway, so we go in the Suburban. Great. That weekend we find out we're going to go on a cross-country trip because my mother, after 32 years or so, finds her dad randomly. My grandfather, my mom's dad, is Dale Hicks. Now, I come from Hollywood, California. My grandma always said that my grandpa dropped her off on the way east. Come to find out, he resided in Hollywood, Florida. So basically, he just started driving east until he couldn't drive anymore. So, to let you know, my dad had a rule. When grandma calls, don't ever ask her how she's doing. You know what I used to do? Hey, grandma, how you doing? Oh, didn't you just go to the doctor? Didn't you just, But that is something you'll come to find out. And I believe that's why my grandfather left me this whole life plan. I mean, how does he know 10 years, 12 hours after he dies to leave me a USPS packaged postmarked 10 years, 10/31/25? But it says the conditions must be he's 38 and he's single. And like literally 12 hours before my wife says she wants to be separated. So I'll get into the details, but I come around the corner, I see my house, and everything I own is in my front yard. At that moment, I realized I probably should have just let the fire go. And not too long after, I was in the right place at the right time, which is weird because when I tried to sell my truck, there was a book in the back of my truck called Wrong Place, Wrong Time. I look at the back of it, I'm like, hey, I might read this. And it says, one late October night after 12 p.m., your 18-year-old son. I stopped reading. I'm like, all right, that's not really what I wanted to be doing right now. So, wrong place, wrong time, right place, right time. So I cleaned the truck out. You know, those things are like, you can't skip over those. When they seem too good to be true, they're not. It's real. It's happening. One thing my grandfather always said is, so he was a very need-to-know basis. Same thing with the letter that I received today. One of the main things I believe, the reason why, like it's 17 minutes and 1 second right now, and I thought about this. So in the last like 5, 6, 10 years or whatever, there's been a substantial amount of money that is legally and blood owed to me. But because I was so out of it and distant, I just couldn't. I mean, I tried. I talked to a few lawyers. I actually had a meeting with one lawyer, and they said to call back the next day. And I was on a conference call with 20 of their attorneys, and they said this is the stuff that they will teach future lawyers about, because this is such a, he said basically two things. You got to decide if you want to go public or you want to go private. Everyone that goes public regrets it because it becomes a big thing. Meaning that it's real. So, when I read the letter, the motto of my family, I won't tell you, but it made me think, oh my Lord, this is exactly what my grandma said. My grandma said, my grandma took my father off the will for a while, because she said, that lady is going to kill your father and take this house and everything our family has. And that is exactly what you did. You remember when you made a big stink about me telling you face to face? That's exactly what I think you're going to do. I don't think you're going to give me my money. And you had my dad call me and tell me that I had to apologize. It's a big old deal. Come on. We have been now 5, 6 years. My dad died Tuesday the 14th of August, 3 days before my birthday. I watched my dad at the cheapest freaking place, man. And then he got embalmed or cremated. We don't cremate. I got 5 generations at the Hollywood Forest Lawn. So now I'm too doped up. I don't think about it, And I start thinking about it later on. I'm like, holy, wait a second. I start connecting these dots. And I start thinking, like, hold on, wait a second. What does it? What's weird here? My dad didn't trust me one bit, right? I used to take the car out all the time. Anyone who knew me when I was younger, we used to go cruising. Anyway, I end up somehow getting the privilege of getting co-signed, and I get to move to Fullerton, where I have no license, no money, no job, no business being at a $3,600 a month condo, let alone with a 19-year-old soon-to-be coke addict who I didn't know that we were living there to chase his ex-girlfriend, who's living with a gay guy, which Yeah, I did. I thought I was gay for a while. I was. We'll get into that stuff later, but I'm not gay. So, but anyway, that just threw me off. Sorry. I gotta get out of here. Do I look black and smoky? Do my outfit look weird? It's all my grandpa stuff. Hey, this hat is like, I don't know, Empire Hat Co. It says $4,500. And you know the size of the hat is 7 1/8, which is August 17th. So anyway, you're gonna get. No one is going to believe this story. First of all, nobody's going to believe this story. Everyone's going to be like, "This guy is an amazing, fucking storyteller." This is. We're talking like generations and generations and generations and generations of stories that have never been told because of our family motto. But I have nothing but this story. I have no money. I have nothing right now. I have I got money. I forgot, dude. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I do have a little bit of money, so I'm good. I'm all good. I'm all good. I'm all good. You know what's crazy is I heard something a little while ago. Someone said he's a billionaire, and he says, "I own no land. I own no big possessions because big possessions tie you down." I've always wanted just to travel. I always wanted to, like, you know, play poker, and, you know, I was a pro snowboarder when I was younger. I really traveled, and, you know, my wife gave me an ultimatum one time. She said, "I can't do you traveling and snowboarding." And it was at the same season that I got picked to go to the East Coast. And, like, that was a guarantee that you were going to be in, like, you know, you were going to get picked up. So I had to choose, you know, and I don't know, you know, so I was taught very young music. Music is a big deal for me. Music is everything in my life. So my parents had season tickets to the Kings, living in Burbank. We go to Hollywood Bowl and blah, 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 on a school night. I was okay. So this is the thing. Parents, please create habits with your kids, because my parents would always leave, you know, at my grandparents, where, you know, I'm not brushing. I don't like brush my teeth and stuff, but there was never a time every night that I would be at home to, you know, brush my teeth. I'd fall asleep in the car, drive from Burbank to Palmdale, go to sleep. So I've always had bad teeth. My mom always had bad teeth, and this created this, like, this weird slowdown of time for me, because I developed lucid dreaming, and I remember the first time I vivid dreamed, where I remembered, and that's all I took. It took me one time to come out of my house, the same repetition, but all of a sudden when I stepped off the stairs, I remembered the very familiar, famous staircases all over the place, but it was more of like a black and white kind of tile pattern, but that was my key or whatnot, if you want to call it. Now, everyone knows the Matrix and all of this. Neo is the anomaly. I possibly may be the real 2025 Earth, this reality Neo. When we get into this story, you're going to discover somebody named DJ Nova 9. He comes from the cosmos. He says that this reality is the one that wins because we converge. Now, I heard that one night on April 18th when my garage door broke. That night, there was a coronal mass ejection, and there was also a asteroid shower. That night, I woke up pitch black to hitting my head on something on the ground. Instantly felt blood. But I remember something in my mind telling me, breathe, relax, wait for it, see how bad it is, and assess the situation. Now, when I went back into my mind, it felt like eternity. It was like I went through different I was just going through like channels of reality. But there was this hero, DJ Nova 9. Now, when my dad died, the first thing I wanted to do was get back into music. My mom was huge into music. So the first thing I want to do, because my dad died, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is real now. Like my dad, I just talked to my dad like Sunday. I text him Monday about, I want concerns about the lawyer. Last text message he read was mine. Yeah. My last text message my dad read was mine saying, Dad, give me a call when you get a chance. I have a concern with the lawyer. Da 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 da. Come to find out, I don't know how, but we will get, okay. So, but anyway, so that was Monday. Tuesday, Rich and Joe go to work, come back, Dad's dead on the couch. Get a call from Jody. I just got home from work. Your dad's dead. He's in Burbank. I'm like, no, he's not. She's like, yeah, he's dead. I get in my truck. I haul ass down there. I'm sitting with my dead dad. And the New Year, the last New Year, we went up to Jacksonville, Wyoming. And on the way up, we stayed, and she was there, normal. But my dad took me into the room, and he said, hey, reach into the closet. In the way back in the right, on the bottom, there's a case, a box, bring it out. And it was a big plastic thing. And he says, everything that is your dad is in this box. It is up to you to do whatever you want with it. Okay. Time comes, Dad dies. I ask, can I go to the house? I need to get something. Oh, I don't think that's a good idea. I just drove from the piece of shit wake that you had, and my sister gets a call from a friend randomly saying, hey, I'll see you Sunday. She looks at me like she's never looked at me before. She says, do you know anything about this funeral? I said, no. I instantly call her. Oh, we didn't invite you because it's too far. His youngest daughter was living in Alaska at the time, visiting Australia. She got on a flight from Australia to Alaska, from Alaska to Burbank, within 24 hours. And you think driving 18 hours is too far to celebrate my father? And I'll tell you what, I haven't been very religious or church going, but I'll tell you one thing. The LDS church might have something to do with the right message. Because the first time I really thought about hurting myself, I look up and there's 3 missionaries right there. Instantly. And you can't fight that. That is divine intervention at that moment in time. And I went with it. My grandma always said, you gotta get back in church. You gotta get back in church. And now because of the church, I have all this information. And so I started going with it. And they gave me a prayer. That night, I was able to actually go to sleep. I said, man, that might be something. So they come up the next day. I was waiting for him. And I said, hey, I'm having a bad day. Can we do a prayer? And they do a prayer again. But he doesn't mention anything about my pain or anything like that. But just the fact that I was in that mindset, I think my chi or my, whatever you want to call it, reconnected with AWA. Or I got, pulled out of the matrix again, whatever you want to call it. And I don't know why life constantly gives us these like easy barriers that we want to just block. The first thing we want to do is defend. Everyone says, oh, how are you doing? Fine. You know what fine means? Fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and by golly, I forgot. I am human. I haven't slept really. And I'm telling you guys more than I've ever told anybody. I'm telling you, dude, this is what it means. This is what God told me. I have to be truthful. And one thing I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start kiteboarding. I'm going to get back in the ocean. So when I was young, I was forcefully taught to wakeboard. I used to wakeboard as a grom for like PlayStation and Mountain Dew and blah, 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 blah. When I was real, real young for Conley wakeboards and stuff. And that was like my first taste of like, I guess like the spotlight or whatever, My dad used to pick me up at the boat, And I love the water. I love boarding, but I don't like the abyss. I don't like the dark. I don't like the ocean. You know, my grandma never been on a boat. She won't go on a plane. You know, I don't know why. I've never liked looking at like dock wires or anything going down below, right? But I think that's like a mental block that we have, that we instantly get afraid of stuff we don't understand. But there's people that can go ungodly depths and times. And when I started going back to the gym, immediately I started working on my breath, because I knew that breathing is a huge thing. 3 in, 6 hold, 9 out. Every time I had a panic attack or I can't deal with this, my wife taught me to put my hand on my chest and cross them, because something about the blood or whatever. So that kind of got, okay, that works, right? Well, the 3, 6, 9, it resets neurological receivers or something. So it's enough time to kind of like forget. That's one thing that I do know that I'm getting back, but I lost really a lot of, is my short-term memory. And I think it might be from, you know, just the medication, the balance or whatnot, but anything that can be lost can be regained. I mean, human body, I'm learning, is just incredible. My family is gifted with just impeccable genes. I mean, I had my old record, and my brother blew it out, and he went national. My dad was blah blah blah. But I think, you know, for some reason we stopped looking at ourselves like, hey, you know, we're getting older. I heard something from a guy. He is a first. So he's the first of his family to come to America from Poland or somewhere over there, somewhere place, but he is now a billionaire. And I love his mindset. He absolutely saved my life. I will not take credit for this, but I am telling you this right now. Whatever happens in the future is because of this. Not today, mother. And that's to the devil. Today it worked for me twice. So thank you, my friend. I owe you. And he said, I'm going to live to be like, 190 or 180 without even like he knows it, because he keeps his body in check. And now that I understand the balance system of the checkness, I mean, the sky's the limit for me, because now my mind is working just boom. And I recently found I've been listening to a lot of like old professor lectures and stuff, and I heard one, I don't know the doctor's name, but he talks about how modern medicine goes about treating addiction the wrong way. It's not the substance that we are craving. It's the feeling that we get when we get it. So it doesn't matter if it's alcohol or tobacco or cutting yourself or, whatever. It's, you've made it, you're there. So whatever reason you're there is the real reason why you're there. So if it's you're, molested when you're young, or you had no father, or you just, whatever the case may be, it develops a mental, it's always there. And then it defines us. And then we become scared of it. So one thing I will say is, being a vivid dreamer, I have woken up most of my life in night terrors. Like I know that there's this black thing that's coming. It knows that I'm there. And so when you vivid dream, you learn to fly. You don't do it right away. You kind of do like, you have to know that Superman doesn't fly. So he's super strong. So gravity doesn't hold him normal. So basically all he's doing is jumping really high. So when I thought about that, I said, oh, okay, let me think about it. So you kind of like, get powered up, and then you jump. And then one time you just start it just happens. I mean, you go to sleep every night, right? You get better and better and better and better at this. And because my mom died, and my memory, I'm able to like go right back into my world. So like I would go to sleep and wake up in another world. So I've had like times where I'm like, I am absolutely out of my mind. Like this is not real life. And it wasn't until my best friend, which we'll get to, rest in peace, Brandon. I love you, dude. I believe everyone I've lost has given their life for you to hear this story. I've lost 34 people in my life. I'm 38. I know nothing but death. And I almost welcome it. Because it's a familiar feeling, you know? Like Johnny Cash said. It's the old familiar sting, you know? But I think if everybody could find what I've kind of come to, I gotta get rid of this nose hair, dude. I mean, I gotta figure out something. Is it 35 minutes now? Yeah, it's 35. Helicopter over me. I don't know, guys. What do I do? Should I stay or should I go now? I can't sleep in my truck. I can't sleep inside. I'm wide awake. It's still Halloween for 22 minutes. If I get in my truck now, it'll be Halloween. When I get to Vegas, it's still Halloween. Should I go? Or should I stay? Or should I go? Or should I... No, I'm just joking. I'm going to go. All right. 36 minutes, dude. It's a long time. I know if you've watched this whole thing, you're a trooper. I guarantee you this right now, this story is going to be pretty whatever. I'm headed to Vegas because I have a meeting with Pawn Star Rick on Monday, meet Rocco. Probably going to have them come to a room because there's a lot of stuff. I found postcards dated 1858, 1900, Washington Reds to like Hobbes. There's one to Hamilton. There's one to Burns, Carlisle. So, I mean, this is America 2025. This is DJ Nova 9 coming out live to you, telling you, I almost died. But for some reason, I am alive. And today, I know why. It's because I'm DJ Nova 9. And he is going to converge the world because 38 years ago, August 17th, 1987 at 7:57 was the world's first pre-planned 1 minute of meditated silence. I was born in that minute. I was told my whole life I was unlucky. I had no luck until this epiphany that happened. It just so happened to be 30 days before my 38th birthday. And then the coronal mass injection, and then DJ Nova 9 coming from the other reality to tell you, Convergence 2, August 17th, 2026. Better be there. Every day, 7:57. 1 minute. If you love your children, or if you love your country, if you love your God, if you love, this is only going to make us stronger. And I think now, in a time of what's going on and how we're just so like just over it or whatever the case may be, my grandfather always had a saying: we could always change mid-flight. You can always change mid-flight. You just have to know, the laws, the rules, the way the world works. And at my lowest point, letting go, I am now completely in charge. I know exactly my path. Money doesn't matter. Possessions doesn't matter. Because God will provide. I know this is weird, but this is my, he was always he loved puzzles. My grandfather did big time puzzles. He was very superstitious. Always, oh yeah, see, watch, look. James Madison, 1817. And some, I don't know, kind of crystal or something. But, that's my grandpa, dude. He always had, he always had something. He always had collectibles. Like, he was always, I guess that's the legacy. Because now I have to carry so many things. I don't know if you can read that. Because superstition and, it's just what feels right. And right now, I'm kind of hungry. Kind of cold. It's really cold. I'm gonna get on the road. The cats will be fine. They've been fine for like 2 days. I'll leave some water and some food, and I don't have any clothes. Well, I have the stuff he brought, but you know what? I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna take my phone and my self. Let's head out to Vegas. See what happens. Come with me. I guess I'm gonna start doing this all the time because I'm by myself. I'll tell you my goal. Get an RV, Kodiak C4500, something like that. Fifth wheel, race trailer. Start shifter kart racing. That's all my dream, was to be a race team owner. But also, now I need to finish getting my pilot's license, because I have to go to New York. I don't want to. I heard something the other day. It was like a 1-star for like the company that everybody travels with. That doesn't make any sense. Why you go to the worst? That's another thing. Let's change a couple things about traveling. Warren Buffett says one thing. Doesn't matter how much money you have. There's only one thing that you do different as a rich person, is travel. He puts the same kind of shoes on, same kind of pants, eats same kind of food. Car doesn't matter. Just rolls, gets to do. But convenience-wise, more money lets you get there more easier. Convenience, right? Because you're worth more. Your time is worth money. That's literally what the world's. Everything is about money. Time. Money can come and go. Time. I was once. Oh man, this is gonna be a long episode, I guess. Whatever. One time I was sitting up in the bar at Wrightwood when I was living in the mountain. Old man sitting there. Everyone left. I had just ordered a pizza or something, and I was like, I'm gonna finish my thing. And this guy is over here, and he starts asking me, "Oh, I overheard you saying that you were gonna not go on some trip because of something you were gonna buy or something." And I said, "Oh yeah, my friends are going on a trip, blah blah blah." But I go, "There's a new RC car coming out this week, and I want to get it." And da-da-da. And he goes, "Let me tell you something. When you come back for that trip, that car's gonna be here. But if you want to go to that trip, it's gone." That guy, I want to say, I've never seen him before. So he may be very well my guardian angel. Now, I've had a couple of these in my lifetime. This is crazy because I'm telling you guys everything about myself, like all my life and stuff. And, back in the day, there used to be a really cool commercial for the Navy SEALs, and it said, "If anybody wrote a book about your life, would anybody read it?" That's all I needed to hear. And all of a sudden, I can't tell my story because people are like, "You're lying, dude. What do you mean you know Selena Gomez?" I'm like, "Yeah, David Henry's a friend of mine." No, he's, like, "Your dad doesn't, you didn't grow up in now. You're perfect." All right, whatever. So I don't say anything. I'm not a liar. I can't lie. I cannot lie. One thing my dad used to say, he's like, you better get good at something because you're not a good criminal. You suck at lying. And I try, but I guess I wear it on my face or something. I don't know. I just I think it's just too much to like remember the lies. Really, it's so much easier to tell the truth because you can like relive it. When you lie, you're like, oh, what did I say? Anyone who's ever heard a story of me from 20 years ago or yesterday, they're like, dude, that story is exactly the same as you told it to me the first time. I'm like, yeah, that's what happened, and that's just how it is. And I'm like, I guess, our father had been Abe, like, you can't lie. I can't lie. I mean, one thing my mom used to say is, my dad used to tell me is, my mom hated liars. So I never wanted my mom to hate me. And I remember one time she was trying to teach me to whistle, and I found the straw that made the whistle. And I was like blowing it, and I said, Mom, I made it. I learned it. And she said, you are not whistling. You are lying. Get out of my face. And that feeling was something that was more palpable and convicting 30 years later. I can just smell and feel this is the word I hated. Disappointment. I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed. You're so much better than this. But my whole life, I was actively crying out for my dad, telling him, like, hey, dude, this doesn't feel